Hi everybody, I'm Emily Gillespie and you're here with me for my weekly art chat here live on Instagram. When I was just a kid, my elementary school art teacher told me I wasn't good at art. I believed her, and so for many years I quit doing any activities that I thought were artistic in any way. It took me until I was married with a young child at home to rediscover my creativity and how much joy it brings to my life. Now I love to cheer on other women and help them reconnect with the things that bring them creative joy. These art chats are a way for me to share my thoughts on issues facing creatives and provide encouragement. Thanks for being here with me. I want to start today with a story. So at the beginning of this month, I went to Jean Oliver's studio for a workshop. If you know anything about Jean, then you know it was amazing. And I'll have a whole blog post up about that soon. If you don't know who Jean Oliver is, then you should definitely check her out. Her website is jeanoliver.com. She has all kinds of amazing online classes for creatives in any kind of creative discipline you can imagine. For the purpose of today's talk, though, you just need to know that Jean has an incredibly generous spirit. She is welcoming and loving and giving, and just being in her home and in her space is like it's a gift for your soul. She practices lavish generosity in her life and in her business, and she's designed her business to suit her own creative process, but also to teach and inspire and welcome others into her home, into her business, into their own creativity, and to help them walk into their own gifts and find out what they are. So for this particular weekend, part of that spirit of giving and generosity included allowing her live workshop students to use her art supplies and the collection of ephemera and vintage papers that she has gathered over the years. So our main project was making junk journals. And I was thinking about sharing part of mine, but my studio is a mess and I can't find it right now. So anyway, as part of that, each of us, excuse me, each of us was given a small bundle of vintage papers to use, and we had the option of looking through some of her other papers to see if there was anything specific that spoke to us, or that matched our color palette, that kind of thing. So I don't know about you, but I am prone to horrible analysis paralysis when it comes to making decisions. So in this situation, I could have focused completely in on finding just the perfect papers that in the right color, or the right theme, whatever, to go perfectly with this journal that we are making. But for the sake of keeping things simple and for my sanity, I just did a quick glance through those papers. I found a couple that spoke to me, and that was that. It was great. I could move on. So we went through the process of making the journals with no real issues, but then it was time to actually glue the pages in, and I started having second thoughts. Should I really be using those pretty papers? What if there was another piece of art that I had in progress or that I might make in the future that would be better suited for those pages? I should probably save them for that, right? Or what if this doesn't turn out the way I want? Or I mess up one of the pages when I go to paint on it later? I shouldn't use it because I don't want to ruin the pages, right? Or what if this beautiful document, some of them were like handwritten ledger pages, all different kinds of things. Sometimes I feel bad about using pieces of history like that, they tell a story about the people that used them. Is that too significant to be just in a junk journal? Maybe I should preserve that paper for something that's worthy of it. The what ifs could keep right on going, but I don't want to spend too much mental energy on that. The point is, if I don't use the pages in the journal, there were 3 possibilities. 1, they were going to sit in Jean's studio and not be used. 2, somebody else was going to use them. Or 3, I could take them home and they'd be part of a pile in my house, a pile of other pretty, really special things that can't be used. So when you think about it, it's kind of a silly thing to get hung up over, but there I was. So I went back and forth with myself about it for a few minutes, and finally, just to get out of the indecision loop, I just decided I was going to glue them all into the journal, get it over with, just do it, and move on, because that's not really something that's worth using your brain power on. And this is such a small thing. It's a small example, but it had a bigger lesson for me. And I think other creatives could relate to this too. We get so stuck in trying to save our materials and supplies for something that is worthy, quote unquote, or we're afraid to try a new technique because we don't want to ruin a perfectly good canvas or piece of paper or whatever. We get stuck and it's all self-imposed. So the lesson is be brave, do the thing, and don't let the fear win. There's a lot of quotes out there about this kind of thing, and I bet you already know some of them, so I'm going to skip telling you something that's meant to be inspirational, because you see it all the time on Instagram or Pinterest. I kind of just tune it out now because it is just not really that helpful. And I'll admit it does feel a little strange to be applying the concept of bravery to something like creativity, something that seems so mundane, especially when there are things in the world that really are a matter of life and death. But sometimes the scary things in life come from within us. And it's the act of confronting those emotions and feelings, working through the fear, and proceeding towards your goal. And that's what is meaningful, no matter how small the thing is, like in this instance of gluing some stupid pages into a book. I know that many of you have probably experienced this in your creative practice, whatever it is you do, whether it's painting or sewing or cooking or gardening or writing. That doubt and insecurity affects all of us, and it's something we have to deal with, unfortunately. But being an artist requires vulnerability. There's going to be times of discomfort, so stop thinking about what might happen. Stop procrastinating, and stop comparing what you produce to what other people are doing, because it might be similar, it might be different, but you can't really, it's not for you to determine whether it's good or bad. The thing to think about is just that your voice is different from theirs, and nobody else can replicate that. So instead, try and reframe your thought process. Get yourself excited about the possibilities, and instead of thinking something like, what if I mess it up? Ask yourself, what if I do it and it turns out even more awesome than I could have thought? And then just jump in and do it. Just start. Have fun. If it turns out bad and you don't like it, then you can throw it away. Nobody will ever know. If it turns out great, that's awesome. Another thought is that you don't have to go overboard. Less is more. With materials, with supplies, you don't need to spend a lot of money on fancy supplies or on things that you're not going to use. All those things that you have that are in your studio, they're taking up space, and if you're not using them, why do you have them, right? So like limiting yourself is actually, it sounds maybe counterintuitive, but you grow more by working with fewer things or a limited group of materials or a limited palette, because then you can get really good at those things and you become really familiar with the technique or the colors that you're working with, how they mix with one another. You become an expert at using those things. And even if you are not 100% comfortable with those things when you first start, that's where the growth is. Because, if you don't know what you're doing and you keep working at it, you keep exploring, you push past the discomfort, that is where the bravery aspect really comes in. Bravery in willing to be uncomfortable and to grow in your creative work, and to put yourself out there. So whatever you're doing, none of it is wasted. You're not wasting your materials or your supplies. You're not wasting your time. And especially, most importantly, you're not wasting your gifts because they were given to you for a reason. So going back to my original story at Jean's house in her studio and being afraid to use those pages, that is something I've encountered so many times over the years that I've been making art. That is just the most recent example, so it was at the top of my mind when I was thinking about what to talk about today. I'll buy some nice new pastels and I'm too intimidated to even get them out of the box, because what if I do it wrong? What if it turns out bad? What if I waste them or ruin them or mess them up? What if they break? Which is stupid because that's kind of the point. But the point overall is to use your things. Don't talk yourself out of using them. Don't make your materials and your stuff so precious that you can't use it. If it's just sitting on a shelf in your studio, it's not doing you any good at all. These things, your materials and your supplies and your space and your time, and your gifts, your talents, your skills that you have developed, those are all gifts to you, and they're given to you so you can use them to make beautiful things yourself. And pass that beauty on to others and share it with the rest of the world. So I really think that beauty in this case begets beauty, and to minimize that or not use it is just it's really sad, I think. So I would encourage you, be encouraged, be empowered, and do those things and use your gifts and share them with others, because I really think the world will be a better place for it. And I always say that sounds so cheesy, but I kind of think it's true. So thanks for being here with me tonight. That's all I've got. I hope you've had some new ideas, some things to think about, and that you're inspired to take a step of small creative bravery sometime soon. I'd love to hear from you guys about what artistic bravery means in your life. So leave a comment or send me a DM here on Instagram. You can email me. It's the first initial E, Gilleske, that's Geleske @gmail.com. Tell me all about it. I want to hear what you guys are doing, and I want to cheer you on. So make sure you're following me here on Instagram to get notified when I go live for future episodes of Art Chats, or you can subscribe to my newsletter, and the link for that is in my Instagram bio. I hope you guys have a good week. I'll see you next time for a new episode. I hope you join me. Bye.